your tone, your eye contact, your pace, the way you speak or stay silent. If you're calm, they feel safe. But if you're indifferent, they feel pulled. It's like mental gravity. She starts playing out stories in her head. Is he not interested? Did I say something wrong? Why do I want him more than the guy who's chasing me non-stop? And just like that, you've inverted the power dynamic. Not by being cold, but by being centered. Stoicism teaches this. The man who controls himself controls the room. She may have beauty, she may have status. But if you're emotionally disciplined, you become unpredictable in a world full of desperate predictability. And that unpredictability, it's intoxicating. She doesn't know if she has you. She doesn't know what you're thinking. She doesn't know what you'll do next. And that mystery makes her chase. So now you're thinking, how do I actually live like this? How do I become the man she chases? Not just pretend to be him. It starts here. Stop making women your mission. Make yourself your mission. Every time you wake up and chase her, text her first, overthink your words, you're giving away pieces of your power. But when you chase discipline, when you chase growth, when you chase purpose, women chase you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, not men who orbit them. Build your body, sharpen your mind, stack your money, control your habits, cultivate inner stillness. That energy, it radiates. Now listen carefully. She's not thinking, wow, he's emotionally intelligent. She's thinking, there's something about him. He's different. That difference is your emotional restraint, your logical calm, your willingness to walk alone rather than crawl for her attention. You don't blow up her phone. You don't flood her with words. You let your silence say everything. She texts you late. You don't reply instantly. You respond on your time. She tests you. You don't defend or explain. You smile. Stay grounded. That's what Stoicism teaches us. Self-respect is quiet. Dignity doesn't yell. And real masculinity doesn't beg. You don't need to manipulate. You don't need to trick her into wanting you. You need to embody what few men ever will. Unwavering control of yourself. And here's the final challenge. Stop asking, what should I say to her? Start asking, what kind of man do I need to become so I never have to chase again? Because when you become that man, when your presence alone commands attention, you won't need to chase. She'll feel it in her gut. She'll sense it in your silence. She'll want to know more, and she'll come closer. Not because you begged, but because your energy made her feel something no other man could. Safety, desire, and uncertainty, all at once. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's your edge. That's your weapon. Think like this. Who is this man? Why do I feel nervous around him? Why am I thinking about him when he barely gave me attention? She starts to chase, not because you withheld affection, but because you controlled your energy. Masculine energy doesn't move chaotically. It doesn't seek approval. It stands still like a mountain, unshaken by storms. And that stillness, that's what calls her in. You're not here to impress. You're here to express who you are. And when you do that, she'll come closer, curious, hooked, wanting more. Let me tell you something most men will never understand. You don't need to be richer or taller or more alpha. You just need to control the frame. What's the frame? It's the invisible energy that says, I'm the standard. I set the tone. I don't react to the world reacts to me. You walk into a room, slow, steady, no rush. You're not loud, you don't need to be. Your silence has weight. That's the frame, and women feel it. Now listen carefully. When you think like this, from the inside out, everything changes. You no longer seek validation because you've already validated yourself. That's the difference between a man who gets ignored and a man who gets chased. One is trying to be chosen, the other chooses himself first. Most guys try to win her over by giving more, texting more, complimenting more. That's like giving her the throne and begging to sit beside her. But a Stoic man, he is the throne. He doesn't need to convince. He doesn't need to chase. He decides who gets access to his world. Let me drop a scenario on you. She texts you late at night. Hey, you up? You're tempted to reply immediately. You want her. You've been thinking about her all day, but you wait. Not to manipulate, but to respect yourself. You're not on call. You're not a boy desperate for crumbs. You're a man with purpose, structure, stand. As she'll feel that, and when she sees you're not reactive, that her beauty doesn't own your time, she starts re-evaluating everything. Why isn't he jumping at my message? Is he with someone else? Did I lose him? That's when she chases. Not because you ghosted her, but because you held your power. This is Stoicism in action. You govern your impulses. You pause. You think. You act with purpose. While other men are moved by emotion, you're moved by intention. That's what women respect. That's what triggers desire at the core. Because now she's not chasing a guy who needs her. She's chasing a man who doesn't need anyone, yet chose her anyway. That's rare. That's masculine. That's dominance without words. Now let's get deeper. You want women to chase you? Then stop trying to be liked. Start being respected. There's a massive difference. A man who wants to be liked tiptoes. He hides his edges. He smiles too much. He agrees too often. He becomes forgettable. But a man who demands respect, he isn't afraid to say no. He has boundaries, standards, and most importantly, he's willing to walk away. That's the man who gets chased. Because deep down, women crave a man who can lead, not follow. Now listen carefully. The moment she senses that your world doesn't revolve around her, she becomes curious, even obsessed. Why? Because most men fold under feminine energy. They get one compliment and lose control. They get one flirty text and drop everything. But you move like a man with options, even when you don't have them. You move like a man with mission, even if you're still building. That's power. Here's a real-life mindset switch. Instead of thinking, I hope she likes me, you think, do I even like her? Has she earned my attention? This shift in thinking rewires how you behave. You're not rushing, you're not explaining, you're not trying. You're simply being solid, focused, unbothered. And in that stillness, something primal gets triggered in her. Women are emotionally intuitive. They pick up on things instantly. You ever wonder why the guys who don't chase seem to get chased the most? You see a woman ignore a man who texts her every morning, gives her compliments, and does everything to win her over. But the guy who gives her almost nothing? He's the one she can't stop thinking about. Why? Because women don't chase comfort. They chase challenge. Now listen carefully. You've been taught backwards. Since you were a kid, society fed you this lie. If you're nice enough, polite enough, consistent enough, she'll like you. But what happens? You get friend-zoned, ghosted, or worse, strung along. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to think like a man she craves, the man she fantasizes about but never admits to. This is not about playing games. It's about rewiring your mind for power, for control, for quiet confidence. Because here's the truth. Masculine energy doesn't chase, it attracts. Women are wired to feel attraction for strength, direction, mystery, not neediness, not emotional chaos, not a man who treats her like a goddess when she hasn't even earned it. This matters because as a man, your value is built. Every action, every word, every mindset shapes how the world and women see you. Most guys mess up here. They believe showing emotion equals vulnerability, and vulnerability equals connection. That's not how attraction works. A man who overshares his feelings too soon, over-explains himself, or tries to prove his worth, he becomes boring, predictable, weak. Want her to chase you? You need to become the mystery. The man who doesn't over-invest. The man who moves with purpose and doesn't break his frame for attention or validation. Think about it. If she can read you like a book, there's no suspense, no tension, no desire. She knows what you'll do next. There's nothing to discover. But if you're composed, emotionally solid, center, she starts to wonder. Why is he so calm? Why isn't he texting like the others? What is he doing right now? Her imagination goes wild. She begins the chase. Not because you told her to, but because your energy demanded it. And this is where the shift begins, when you stop chasing and start thinking like a man she can't ignore. Now imagine this. You're at a bar. She walks in, confident, beautiful, and used to men melting when she smiles. She scans the room. Every guy's staring. Except you. You saw her. You registered her presence. But you didn't flinch. No desperate double take. No obvious head turn. You're grounded. And that bothers her. She keeps glancing your way. Why isn't this man reacting like the rest? Is he not interested? Or is he different? Here's what's really happening. You're no longer living in reaction to beauty. You've trained yourself to think like a king, not a court jester begging for attention. Most men lose their power the moment they see an attractive woman. They become puppets, eyes widen, voice changes, body language collapses. That's not dominance, that's submission. But a Stoic man, he sees beauty and stays in control. Because he doesn't base his value on her looks, he knows his presence already has value. Now listen carefully. When a woman senses you don't need her, but you choose to engage, she's intrigued. That's the paradox of attraction. She's used to being the prize. But suddenly, you're the one she wants to impress. You flip the dynamic, not with arrogance, but with internal mastery. This is where Stoicism becomes your weapon, the core of Stoic thought. Control what you can, accept what you can't, and never let emotion override reason. So when she ignores you, you don't chase. When she flirts, you don't overinvest. You observe, you evaluate, you stay centered, and that stillness, that restraint, is magnetic. Because while other men are chasing validation, you're building your empire, your fitness, your focus, your peace. She's not used to that. And internally, she starts thinking,